renovated Howard Theater in Washington, D.C., which is situated at 7th and T Street in the District of Columbia. And I'm on this stage with a man who knows an awful lot about this city and the space where we're sitting. This is Bernard Demczuk, who is a Washington, D.C. historian. Is that how you describe yourself, Bernard?
Yes, I'm a historian of African American history, particularly of Washington, D.C.
Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So, there are a lot of conversations to be had about the space where we're sitting right now. This is a neighborhood that has gone through a lot of change. Can you walk me back in time to what this place was, what this neighborhood was, what the Howard Theater was decades ago, 30 years ago, or more?
Well, thank you for starting with the concept of this place 7th and T. I want to point out also that we're across the street from the African American Civil War monument. We're also at a spot on 7th Street that is just a few blocks from Howard University. We're also just a few blocks north of the slave market at 7th and Pennsylvania back in the 19th century, the early 19th century. So we really are at a very special, even hallowed ground, if you will, at 7th and T, the Howard Theater. If I were to take you back as a historian, I'm going to have to take you back probably to the 1800s, and I'll try to fast forward to 1910 when the Howard was founded. Before I do that, however, I have to pay a little bit of respect this morning, speaking of the spirits, that in about 7 hours we will be at the 44th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King. With the assassination, the Howard Theater was not hurt during the riots, but it actually had a performance that evening. And the performance went on, and the street eventually became shut down and burned down. So within that context, I want us to understand that we're here at just a few blocks from where the riots kicked off in '68 with the assassination of Dr. King. But to put that into further context, I want us to realize that today, in 2012, we are at a really important time in our history. We have a black president of the United States. We have just unveiled the Martin Luther King Memorial. We have just broken ground for the National African American History and Culture Museum on the Mall. We have the possibility of perhaps re-electing an African American to the White House. There's so much history happening right now.